It's that time of year again, the time of E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo. E3 was created essentially as a trade event, but grew in promotional power to become the World Series, Super Bowl, and Christmas for information-hungry gaming enthusiasts like me. But this year, for the first time since its 1995 debut, there wasn't an E3, and it's questionable if it will ever return. With the modern internet, publishers and platform holders have more ability than ever before to share videos and information far and wide, and with thoroughly established retailer relationships, many question whether E3 needs to exist. But of course, it wasn't always this way. In our always connected world, it can sometimes be hard to remember how different things used to be, and even how relatively recently these changes occurred. In E3's first few years, the information released there on upcoming games and systems was reported through a few cable television programs, but mostly reached me through gaming websites and magazines. These reports explained the sights and sounds of the expo as best they could through text, pictures, and screenshots. The ability to disseminate actual video taken at the event to the public at large was limited on the nascent internet, so for years there existed an information gap, and there were entities willing to make a business of this opportunity. Since my cable package didn't offer Tech TV or G4, some of the first video out of an E3 that I was able to see was provided by the PlayStation Underground CD magazine. Demo discs like these are fondly remembered for their playable demos, but they also had other features like video presentations. The first couple of E3s they covered gave a tantalizing glimpse of the show floor, but they were merely featurettes, lacking any real show coverage. But by E3 98, they are doing a much more admirable job showing off actual game builds and getting relevant info from the booth reps.
And my first pick for the show is Silent Hill from Konami.
You play this guy who's lost his daughter. You were driving into town involved in a car crash. When you wake up from the car crash, your daughter's disappeared.
Totally new. 1 player, 2 player, 3 player.
Obviously, these only covered PlayStation products, so of course it wasn't a full picture of the show. Shortly after E3 2001, I found a new source for all the show information my at-the-time dial-up internet just wasn't able to provide. A website called nextgenvideos.com. For less than $20 shipped, you could own a DVD of their show coverage. The Future of Video Games Volume 1. 2 hours of footage, over 75 titles covered, interviews, commentary, and gameplay. I couldn't purchase it quickly enough. The wait was terrible, but I was so excited when I finally received it. E3 2001 was historic, as they all are in their way. The Dreamcast's last E3 and the GameCube's first. Some very exciting PS2 games just around the corner, and what's with this Microsoft Xbox? I watched the games presented here countless times. There were a lot of important titles shown. Sonic Adventure 2, Ico, Halo. Even though much of this footage was recorded off screens and sometimes without the matching original audio, this was typical of the time when recording live. Super Smash Bros. Melee. This Silent Hill 2 trailer became so entrenched in my mind that I became an instant lover of the game's music and a forever fan of Akira Yamaoka before I ever even touched the game.
I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real.
There are oddities to be found too. Even as Sega was running out the clock on the Dreamcast and showing its last batch of games, they were already showing Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox. And here's an early concept trailer for Retro Studios' Metroid Prime, shown a full year and a half before it would be released, before even the GameCube hardware had launched. And another Retro Studios game, Raven Blade, shown at this E3 only to be cancelled 2 months later to direct more resources to Metroid Prime. Other cancelled games were shown too. Propeller Arena for the Dreamcast, Konami's Police 911 for PS2. This trailer makes it look like a Time Crisis clone, but the original arcade game didn't have a floor pedal. It used motion tracking technology to allow you to physically dodge fire and take cover. It worked very much like a proto-Kinect, and with its slow bullets, it honestly had a similar feel to Superhot VR, but 20 years ago. It was expected to use the iToy to achieve this on PS2, but was ultimately canceled. Rare had a Donkey Kong Racing teaser that never produced a game. And here's Cameo when it was being developed for the GameCube. We wouldn't see this game's release for 4.5 more years as an Xbox 360 launch title. I could talk about this show and disc even further, but we need to move forward. E3 2002 and Next Gen Videos produced another disc, The Future of Video Games Volume 2. This time 90 minutes longer than last year. Despite the cheeky cover, the already good production values are further improved. More direct feed trailers, more menu animation, more interviews. With over 120 titles given screen time, it's hard to know what to highlight. How about Kingdom Hearts in Japanese? Panzer Dragoon Orta.
My name is Tom Leonard. I'm with the Nintendo of America. Here I have The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo GameCube.
The Wind Waker, before it was given its full title.
See the shimmering effect because basically you're inside a mountain in a volcano area.
Resident Evil Remake in RE0.
I'll go back to the other mansion.
Your cockpit. These controls are your hands and feet.
Steel Battalion. And who could ever forget Britney's Dance Beat? And so many, many more. 1 year later, and the hits keep coming. The Future of Video Games 2K4. Don't worry, they didn't skip a year. The confusing conceit is that the game shown in 2003 or for the future of 2004, I guess? Who knows, but these discs cover the E3 of 2003. And yes, that's discs plural, because this year it's a 4-disc set. 570 minutes of total coverage, including, for the first time, footage from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo's press conferences. Games for all 3 primary systems, plus Game Boy Advance, PC, and the announcement of the PSP. The package and production values keep improving, and with so much contained therein, I just can't dive into showing you too much. But a couple of highlights are Nintendo focusing on GBA to GameCube connectivity,
Very simple what you have to do.
Dr. Richard Marx showing off the PS2 iToy,
So the faster you do it, the more windows you clear off, the more points you get.
Now, and expanding the
and
community.
Jay Allard talking up
That's
plans
what
for Xbox Live.
is all about.
And, of course, SpongeBob, the battle for Bikini Bottom. Every E3 creates hundreds of stories, and I can't tell them all because I have to keep moving forward. 2004, E3 Access, the future of video games. This year's package is produced in partnership with IGN and GameSpy. As before, a 4-disc set. As before, all 3 big press events, this time in their entirety. 13 hours of footage. And yeah, it's very possible that I've never watched it all.
You guys don't want to see me.
Microsoft showed a proposed video chat feature over Xbox Live 1.0. This year was the first public showing of the PSP and Nintendo DS.
My name is Reggie.
It was the kick-ass introduction of Reggie.
Names, and we're about making games.
Excuse me, Reginald Fils-Aimé. This was the debut of the first Twilight Princess teaser. This trailer and crowd reaction still gets me emotional 16 years later.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shigeru Miyamoto.
NGV secured interviews with industry higher-ups, such as Microsoft Game Studios General Manager Shane Kim, SCEE President David Reeves,
I'm president of Sony Computer Entertainment Europe. We're over here at...
and Nintendo President Satoru Iwata.
My name is Satoru Iwata from Nintendo. I'm president of Nintendo and Company Limited.
You guys having a good time at E3?
We're having a great time.
Plus interviews and comments from Mario, Charles Martinet.
And can you show us? This is like...
This is the vector animation system.
Stan, how are you?
Stan Lee, Carmen Electra, And Steve-O? Okay, this is going off the rails, but we have Half-Life 2 presented by Gabe Newell.
We're showing Half-Life 2 again, and everybody's very excited. They're saying this is great.
My name is Amy Hennig. I'm the game director.
Amy Hennig presenting Jak 3. And Paper Mario 2 before it received its official title. This was another packed year, but of course I need to move on. This should look pretty familiar by now. E3 Access 2005, another partnership with IGN and GameSpy. 14 hours, all 3 major pressers. While Sony talked about the PS3 and Microsoft talked up the Xbox 360, Nintendo kept most of the details of the revolution under wraps for now. Hundreds of games featured.
It's all about mobile gaming, and we're going to get to see
This year, mobile gaming continued to be a hot topic of interest.
Yeah, this is quite a fun
Not smartphones, flip phones. I know to a lot of you this really looks like the Stone Age, and it kind of was, but on the other hand, it really doesn't feel like all that long ago. This year's DVD cover proudly proclaims that this is the only DVD produced in cooperation with the Expo. They'd actually been working with the ESA and before that the IDSA for years, but by this point, you see, they weren't the only producer on the market. GameSpot put out their own coverage. I have this 4-disc set for E3 2004, and for 2005 they mastered this whopping 6-disc set. Amazing and ridiculous. DVD mastering was so accessible across this time frame that it wasn't just the largest, most funded sites that could do it. I even have an E3 2002 DVD from Planet GameCube. I know there are others I don't have, and I'm certain there are others that I'm not even aware of. Next Gen Videos also covered other events, like the annual Tokyo Game Show, but I only ever focused on their E3 products. After 2005, the bottom pretty much fell out of the E3 DVD market. More cable television coverage, live and pre-recorded video streaming, and broadband internet access was increasing throughout these years. This in turn made physical disc production basically an unnecessary way to share this information. This discontinuation of outdated processes is echoed now by how we are considering whether the future even needs E3. I never knew an internet video revolution was imminent when I bought these discs, and they are far from the only video game promotional discs I own. I haven't even mentioned my promotional videotapes. When you can instantly pull up videos on any subject at any time, it might seem that these have no place in today's world, but I still see them as important historical artifacts of a time and place in technology, and I'm glad I still own these little pieces of history. If you enjoyed this peek into a corner of my 3-decade-plus collection, please consider subscribing for more. I like to show things that not many others talk about. You can also follow me on Twitter, where on occasion I share other odds and ends. Like when I recently helped Game Explain's Andre Seegers find which issue of Nintendo Power he was in, and when I showed Archon 1981 something about Nintendo Power that he hadn't seen before. I'm certain I'll never be able to claim that again. Let me know what kinds of promotional material you've collected. Do you have DVDs that I don't? Do you want any more information about any item I've shown? Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks again for tuning in, have fun, and take care.